Hello, I'm Colin Baker. Of course I am, whether you like it or not. And you are watching The Sirens of Audio. Keep watching. It's good.
G'day, audiophiles. This is the Sirens of Audio, the show that explores the universe of Doctor Who in the audio medium. For the 200th time, I'm Dwayne.
And for the 185th time, I'm Philip. G'day, Dwayne.
Oh, g'day, Philip. As soon as I said that, I knew you start calculating how many episodes it's been. But
Well, I think I came in on 15, but I can't. I think it was 15 I came in on.
I think it was. Yeah,
So yeah,
it's been
I'm a
been a bit of a
slacker.
trip.
I've not been here since the beginning.
Yeah, but to celebrate our 200th today, we've got an awesome guest lined up. You would know that by now if you've looked at the title of the episode. We are going to be joined by James Robert McCrimmon himself. Frazer Hines is joining us for this episode. And has he done a podcast before?
I don't think he's ever done a podcast before. I think this is his first
Right.
podcast. Can I
Okay.
just say, we just hint at next week too, is because we had trouble with our 200th because we had two gigantic names. So
Yeah.
Frazer Hines, we've settled for, and
Yes.
there's a reason why we settled for Fraser. So settling sounds bad. The reason why we've got Fraser is one reason.
There was no money exchanged hands.
No money exchanged hands. But can I just say, next week is going to be just as big, maybe bigger, for number 201. But we, as I said, it's yes. Wait for next
So
week as well.
can I just say to you, Philip, thank you for sticking around this long and putting so much work into the show. And it's been a real joy to be able to speak with all these wonderful guests we've had, to be able to share all this passion that we have for audio drama, particularly the audio drama of Doctor Who, but not only Doctor Who, other things too. And it's been wonderful. Thank you.
No, no, I'm really glad you had the vision in the first place, that you found something you wanted to do, which is a bit quirky, and yeah, we do know it's specialist, and you guys listening, thank you for
It's
listening.
niche,
It's
very
it's
niche.
it's a niche little area, but I think that we've gone beyond just the niche because just the people we speak to across the board, which brings different elements of understanding of the creativity that goes into Doctor Who, as well as Big Finish, as well as other audio work, as well as theatre. We touch on lots of things, and so I think hopefully you've been blessed. And yeah, Dwayne, I'm glad you asked me. I'm glad I said yes because I fought you for a while.
You did.
Thank you for talking me into doing this because I'm very happy to be here and I'm looking forward to celebrating my 200th episode in 15 episodes time.
Yes. But of course, before we speak to Fraser Hines very shortly, there is one thing we have to do, Philip, and you know what it is.
We do it every time, so of course I know what it
Well,
is.
we do. All right, we're going to jump down the rabbit hole.
Here
Here
we
we go.
go.
All right, I've given you the episode off, Philip, because you know what's coming up in this episode, and I just want to just do a bit of reminiscing. This is 200 episodes, so just a little bit of reminiscing about the episodes that we've done in the past. So we've got 200 to choose from. I just want to pick a couple of episodes, each of us, from each of 50. I've divided it into four. Just talk a little bit about which episodes have stood out to you. I mean, we could talk for hours and hours
Yeah.
about each and every one of them, but I've asked you, I think I've given you a difficult task to pick two out of every 50. So
Yeah.
because
And of course
you
you know
always
me.
like to go first, you
Yeah.
never let me go first, Philip. I thought I'd let you go first
Yeah.
with your first episode that stands out to you.
And if you know me,
And
I
why?
haven't done. If you know me, I haven't done it properly anyway. So I've cheated. So, so I can't help myself. Can I say you may have given me some warning? It was only 5 minutes warning, so it's not like I've had If I'd had a week to prepare, I would have come up with a different list. The first person on my list, it's 2 episodes, is Louise. And if I say her name wrong, everyone's getting so cranky with me. Jameson.
Jameson.
Jameson. So I know someone always reacts when I say Jameson, but Jameson. Lou. To me, she's just Lou. So I don't think about her surname. And she was in our episode 22 and episode 24 because we spoke to her for so long, we actually split it. That's back when we used to do long episodes and we thought it's too long for people to listen to. We'll make it 2 episodes, which we've given up on now. We just give you long episodes and you can work it out for yourselves. And the reason why I'm choosing Lou, aside from the fact that she's a friend and someone I adore and look forward to catching up with whenever I can, you inspired me. When I was listening to your podcast, you were doing little interviews with people and you were getting people on board to come and talk to you, which is one of the things I thought was really impressive, that you get these directors or writers. And that made me think, well, who else could we get? Like, we should shoot for the stars. And I thought, if we can get a big Doctor Who name, and so I used my influence, I used my a bit of my credit to contact Lou and say, hey, will you come on our little podcast? And she agreed without question straight away. She was filming in Ireland, for goodness sake, and took a day off to come and talk to us. But it went down so well, and it was such a positive time that it made it really easy to keep reaching out to other people. And so I think Lou was sort of the big star. As much as you had some great little interviews beforehand, and we had some Australian podcasters on, and we had other guests on beforehand. Lou was kind of the first big name that actually gave permission for more big names to come. And so
Yeah.
I think I'm choosing Lou for that reason. Who's your first person you're choosing?
So what episode was that? Episode 22,
22 and 24.
24, because we had Scott Hancock in between.
Yeah.
All right. For my episode that stood out to me, it stands out to me now because I didn't realize when I did it at the time how important it would eventually be. And that's episode 9, Caldor City, a retrospective. And I think, Philip, you know why that one stands out to me. It's because I think that's the episode that prompted you to listen to a few more and then send me that audio feedback that got me thinking, oh, I need a co-host. I was having trouble finding one. And I pestered you because of the way you put that audio feedback. I thought this guy's gonna be good, and it turns out that you were.
Well, thank you, Dwayne. But I mean, that Caldor City one, I was listening to, I was thinking, this is an intelligent person making intelligent comments about stuff I love. And I went,
Little did you realize.
Little did I realize that I was going to end up going back, listening to everything you've done beforehand and thinking, actually, yeah,
I was thinking, little did you realize about the intelligent person bit, how wrong you were.
Well, true, I know that now, but you kept it hidden really well for a long time.
Very good. All right, give us your second pick for the first 50.
Well, I'm going to jump through one. I'm just going to mention Janet Fielding, episode 35, in passing, just because that is still one of our most listened to episodes. And I'm never really quite sure why, but in our top 10 of all-time listening, Janet is always up there. And that episode always sits in the top 10. And anyhow, I mean, I must go listen to it again because it must be good. I'm not quite sure why, but anyhow, that just sits there. So I just mentioned that in passing. But once again, Janet was someone I knew, I'd interviewed before and came on the back of knowing that. But I'm actually going to do episode 46, which was Peter Purvis. So what an unbelievable, amazing opportunity to speak to, at that time, the longest back companion we could reach to. And he was just engaging and intelligent and witty and someone I would never have the opportunity to talk to because of living in Australia. And actually, he's just done a few more conventions recently. He wasn't really doing conventions, but he was just so engaging. And yeah, that to me was just, my little fanboy was just a very happy boy having that conversation with Peter Purvis. And I admire him all the more and understand him all the more, having spent that lovely snowy, because it was snowing out the window, that snowy time with him in that episode. What's your second one?
My second one for the first 50, I'm going to choose Gary Russell. We had the opportunity to go in depth with Gary for 3 episodes, which were some of our most popular episodes. 2 because Gary, he can talk. So we split that one into 3. It was a really exciting chat for me personally. Having been a fan of Big Finish for so long, it was great to be able to get to talk to him. I had met Gary before, but didn't really have that much to do with him. So that was wonderful.
And every time we've reached out to Gary to talk to him about anything, he's come back on again.
Mm.
So, anytime he's done a randomoid, something he's directed, something he's written, something, he has been more than willing to come on. He's just so gracious to us. And I think two of those 3 episodes are also in the top 10 of all time. Maybe all 3 are there. I know at least 2 of them are.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's go to the second 50. This is hard because there's so many good ones in the second 50 as well. Can you start us off, Philip?
I'm gonna just one. It was just so much fun. Was Joe Sings, episode
It was.
55.
It was.
It was just so much fun. So Joe, he plays 7. Oh no, I was gonna say 7 of 9. That's Star Trek I've got into. 7.
Mark
is
7.
it? Mark 7.
Mark 7.
Mark
Yep.
7. He was playing. I knew him from Broadchurch. I sort of reached out to him, and he was just a joy. And it was just we just spent some evenings, and just I can't believe that we're having this amazing conversation with a great actor. And of course, with his accent, because of where he's from, I mean, I couldn't even imagine that he was the accent. Went, oh, good grief, because all I'd heard was RP. So I'm going to say him, and I'm going to dump in another one at the moment. 62, Lisa Barrowman,
Yep.
just because I love Lisa, and once again in her kitchen with a little fridge behind her, she just popped home to do the podcast, and she was just so generous with her time. And if I didn't have a crush on her before, I've got a crush on her now. What about you,
Very good.
Dwayne?
You snuck in a couple there.
I know.
All right.
I've still got another one or
You
two.
do. I know. For mine, I'm going to go with episode. Let me just double check which one it is here. Episode 57, Paul Spragg. I realized I had this recording of Paul Spragg that I did when I visited the offices of Big Finish years and years ago, and I contacted them and said I wanted to write an article for the Doctor Who Club of Australia magazine, Data Extract, and I was going to meet up with whoever was there, and it just so happened that everyone was in studio. No one was there except Paul Spragg, and we had the loveliest chat. And he, such a humble guy, he looked at me and said, "What do you want to interview me for?" I said, "Well, because you're at the hub of all this activity, that's going on." So we went and had lunch, and I had that recording and released that as an episode. I think it really touched Nick Briggs as well to be able to
Yeah.
hear that. So he reached out to me straight away, pretty much after hearing that, and actually invited me on to the Big Finish podcast to talk about that. So if you look back around that time, the Big Finish podcast, you'll hear me too. Which incidentally, as I'm traveling on the road now, not far from Darwin, at that time I was in Darwin too. So things have a tendency to come full circle, don't they? So I think that episode was it's not our most listened to episode, but for people who know Paul Spragg and know Big Finish, I think it's one that you should go back and have a listen to again.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just do my Blake 7 spread. People know me, love Doctor Who, but I love my Blake 7 too. Stephen Greif, episode 70, Pamela Salem, 68, Salin Yvette, 73, and Jan Chapel, episode 80. We had a run of all Blake 7 people. We've had some others as well. But those 4 stand out just in terms of I couldn't believe I was getting to talk to my Blake 7 heroes. So I'm just going to mention them. And I'm going to just chuck in, because I can't help myself, 93, Bonnie Langford. I love my musicals. I love musical theatre. I have adored Bonnie Langford. She copped way too much as a companion. And so I was just so thrilled to be able to spend time with her. She'd already would have filmed Doctor Who by that stage, but didn't tell us. Little Rotta. That happened to lots of people, didn't it, that we've spoken to who were doing episodes and kept things secret. Some not so much as others. But yeah, just being able to chat with Bonnie Langford was just wonderful. You other ones
Absolutely.
in that?
Yeah. How do I pick one?
Oh, I
in the second one?
know. I couldn't.
Let me just have a quick flick through, because I think in the second 50 we had John Coleshaw, which is still one of our most popular episodes, particularly on
Yeah.
YouTube. And he
And
was
at
amazing.
Badland.
Such a huge name to have,
Yeah.
who wanted to talk to us, and he wanted to talk to us as a fan. You always get the sense with John Coleshaw that, you know, he's this big star in the UK, but he just loves talking about his favorite TV show, and you got that sense the whole way through. And great little ident that he did for us that we still use on the podcast, where he puts on a few different voices, and that was really good.
Hello there, this is John Coleshaw, and I'm just slightly borrowing the voice of John Pertwee for a moment. I don't know, maybe a regeneration might happen. Yes, it happened there. Yes, and you're listening to the Sirens of Audio. Wonderful chaps, both of them.
The other big one for that set of 50 is episode 100, where we had Colin Baker. What a thrill that was to have a TV doctor on the show with us, and Colin was so obliging with his time, and you know, so much passion for his characterization of the Doctor, and the kind of the redemption story that he's had by means of Big Finish. It's good to have that on the record with us too. So they're my two for this 50.
Well done. So next 50?
Okay.
So you'll be pleased, I've only got two. So I could have put Sylvester McCoy in there, but I didn't, as another Doctor. 110, Maureen O'Brien. Once again, being able to reach even slightly further back into Doctor Who's history was just a joy. And once again, she was just lovely. And we went through a range of emotions with her, some of which we didn't put into the podcast because we had some tears along the way. I think that's two. I think that might still be her only podcast she's done. I'm not sure that Maureen's done any others. She agreed to come on with us, but she just spoke so eloquently. She's so intelligent. You can see why she ruffled feathers back in the Doctor Who office.
Yes.
Yeah, because women weren't allowed to have opinions back then, and they weren't allowed to be strong, and they weren't allowed to say no to. And you can see that she would not have taken any of that well. Nor should she have done, can I just say? But you can see why it caused issues for her. So that was just lovely talking to her. Yeah, and Dwayne, give us one. Do I do my second one?
I think I was very happy. I'm still scrolling through the list, just looking at it now, thinking, how do I pick these? But I think I've got to go with Nick Briggs. We're able to do a 2-part series with Nick, going in depth on his time before Big Finish, and the different stages through Big Finish. And that was thrilling to be able to do that. I don't think Nick does too many podcasts. He does a few, but of course he does his own as well. But not too many as a guest, I don't think. So that was really good, and it's always popular downloads too, the Nick Briggs ones, because obviously one of the men behind Big Finish presently.
Yeah, I mean, Nick has always been so gracious to us as well, and also, either send us some information we needed or come on as well other times just to give us a bit of background. So yeah, what an amazing man. And the mother 139, Jeffrey Beavis. So when we got to speak to the
That
master,
was so cool.
we spoke to the master himself, and Jeffrey's he's just a lovely guy, but boy, he's evil. Well, sorry, he can do evil so well, and it's just wonderful seeing this generous, amazing actor, but knowing how much he can still scare the life out of me when he wants to. So it was just great hearing his life. So I just enjoyed that. That was another one I just enjoyed so much.
Yeah. Okay, for me, my second. I'm just scrolling through these names. How do I pick? Yeah, Michael Trout, and we had Michael Stevens on from BBC Audio. We even had Sylvester McCoy. But I'm going to go with Kate Allman, because I think she's very important in Doctor Who fandom for people who are nostalgic for the 90s. She was one of the big names that was there. We happen to know her because she was very involved with fandom in our part of the world, and particularly in Sydney when I was growing up and when you were there, or you still are, Philip. But I think it was good for Kate to sort of. It's good to see her start to get back involved in Doctor Who after such a long time.
Yeah.
She has been doing a few bits and pieces here and there, but it looks like she's going to be doing more from now on.
Yeah, and John Blumson's and stuff too. We need to get John on. We need to get
Oh
John as
yeah,
well.
that's right.
I
We do.
had a lot of like had a lot of time with them at a wedding recently with John, and they were all there, and Jason Haig-Ellery all together at a wedding. My other
Name
person, Indy
dropper.
Fisher. I know Indy Fisher. Also, this is the next 50 we're moving to. Is that okay?
Yeah, no
So,
problem.
episode 182, India Fisher. I interviewed India 20 some 22, 23 years ago, back at a Whovention, and just adored her back then. She was still playing the role of Charlie. She was very young. She was about to do a couple of months of travel around Australia. And I had trouble tracking her down because the email I had was wrong. And I just thought I was being ghosted. And finally found out I was just used the wrong email, duh, and got through to her. And immediately she said, "Yes, I'll come on." And she's just so charming and so lovely. And Charlie, I loved as a character. So her and Evelyn, this was sort of the first, the original characters that I got so into when Big Finish first started their own characters, companions. And yeah, I've always adored Charlie, and to spend time with India again, it was just a joy. What's your one for the last 50?
My first one. Let me have a look. Good grief! Look at all those. Look at all those names there.
You picked this
Um,
activity.
I know. I know. Very, very difficult. We. I mean, I'm going to go with um, Conrad Westmass. That was.
Oh,
I wasn't sure what to expect from Conrad, but it was one of the most engaging conversations I think we've ever had. And once again, I think it because of the person Conrad is, um, it was a popular episode too, and his story behind the character of Kerry's and how it was reacted to by fandom back in the day and how he dealt with it and him talking about it now being slightly therapeutic was really engaging. So I was so glad that we had Conrad on. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, it's a snap, by the way. I had Conrad down as my list. The reaction we got afterwards too, because he was very honest about all of his struggles and things, and just the response got. So I'm going to pick another one because you did that one. I am going to pick episode 172, which we had Nicholas Pegg, Tim Sutton, Helen Goldwyn, and Colin Baker on, as we celebrated the 20th anniversary of the Pirates. So along the way, we've tried to do some fun episodes celebrating different ones. We did a marvelous one on
Chimes?
Chimes of Midnight, which was a blast to do. We did a great one on the Villains trilogy, where we had the three Eddie Robson, Jonathan Morris, and John Dorney on for episode 179. But being able to tell the Pirates is probably my favorite Big Finish there is. And so being able to do a story, bringing in a lot of the cast or the directors and just the different people involved with that was a real joy. And just feeling like we put together a whole retrospective of what was missing from that. Because back when they didn't do extras, it felt like we really had pulled together something very special as a documentary and a commentary on that episode, which I was very proud of. Your other one,
Yep.
Dwayne?
My last one. Can I just give an honorable mention to all the episodes that we've had fellow podcasters on with? I love having people guesting from other podcasts, and we've had quite a few over our time. I'd love to get some more too. So if you've got a podcast and you want to come on and talk with us about audio, I'll let you choose what you want to talk about. Just get in touch. Let us know. I love it. I love talking with fellow fans. It's talking with them about what we love is it's much better than arguing, which is what you get a lot of the time on social media. And I guess that's why I like it so much. But for my last one, I'm going to pick episode 163, Lizzie Hopley, because
Mm.
what a great person she is, and a good sport too. Because I asked her, "Can you join us for the whole episode and do the rabbit hole?" And since she said yes, and that worked out so well, I've been able to do that with a few other guests who have been prepared, including Conrad, who I mentioned before. Join us for the rabbit hole topic as well. And Lizzie is such a important writer, and I like talking with all the different writers and how they approach talking with them about how they approach their stories for audio. But Lizzie's an interesting one because she's an actor first who's sort of become a writer out of necessity because um, sometimes writers do that. Nigel Fairs is another one that writes a lot of his stuff, who's an actor first. But yeah, I really enjoyed that episode. Had a great time.
Mm. Well, there's too many honourable mentions we could go through, and yeah, Big Finish have been so generous with directors, writers, producers. Nicholas Briggs, Jason Ellery, John Dorney, Gary Russell have all given lots of time. But yeah, so many others have as well. Johnny Morris has been fantastic every time we've wanted to speak to him.
Can I just mention the sound designers as well? We've got Joe Kramer. Who else have we had? Well, Tim Sutton was on the Pirates.
Benji Clifford.
Yep. Ian. I've forgotten his name now.
What's his name? Meadows, but that's wrong.
Yeah, it is.
Ian Meadows. Yeah. It's not wrong.
Ian Meadows. Rob Harvey as well. That was fantastic. He's a prog lover too. So go Rob. But yeah, so many good people. Yeah,
thank you. And can I say too, thank you for you, the audience. All you guys listening on. Thank you, you audiophiles, that you've stuck with us. And we love your comments too. Thank you for all the people that make comments below the YouTube videos and otherwise, and particularly thank you to those who have given us reviews, because that helps us get heard further. But yeah, we love what we're doing. We're very blessed, but it would be a bit pointless if no one was listening to us. So thank you that you listen to us, and it encourages us to keep going and finding more people to speak to. And next couple of weeks, already fantastic. You won't believe what's coming. We'll not believe who's coming next week.
All right, let's crawl up out of the rabbit hole. Before we talk to Frazer Hines, we should mention too that our live events that are coming up in September, Philip, because that's something that the podcast has also given us the opportunity to do, is start some live events, because one of us here on the team was crazy enough to suggest this, and we're still doing it.
Indeed. So we've got Frazer in Sydney on the Sunday the 8th of September. So it's Sunday this time for Sydney. It's usually on a Saturday, but unfortunately because of events, it's going to be on the 8th. Then the following week, there's going to be a VIP dinner on Saturday night in Melbourne on the 7th, followed by the event on the 8th. Then Brisbane, you are so lucky because you get both Frazer Hines and Katy Manning. You guys get two guests on the whatever the next will be. It would probably be dinner on the 21st and the event on the 22nd. If those dates may have changed, you'll see the flyers by now to know definitely. And then the following week, Launceston. Well done, Launceston in Tasmania. On the 28th, you get Katy. And then we're driving down to Hobart. And on the 29th, Hobart gets Katy. So it's going to be a pretty exciting, exhausting month. Sorry, other parts of Australia, particularly sorry to Adelaide and Perth. There've been people calling out. If we can guarantee we get 50 people or more together, I will bring someone there. So I'm looking at some future events coming up, and I'm definitely looking at Adelaide as the next venue to add to the mix. So sorry for those guys who are there, but just come to Melbourne. It's not far for this.
And Tasmania, we will continue to come to Tasmania with these events. Number one, because I don't have to travel so far to get to them, because that's good.
As long as people come.
Exactly. As long as we got the numbers. Otherwise, we have to go where we can get the numbers. So it all comes down to you guys, and you can go back and look at our past episodes where we've put clips from our day events on there. You can see what kind of a treat you're in for, particularly the last one with Katie's Q&A in Sydney. That'll give you an idea of the day that you're in for. And it's not just a couple of hours of a show. You've got the whole day with the guest, and there's lots of different activities and things happening all day with the events now. So you're in for a definite treat.
Yep.
All right, let's jump into our interview with Frazer Hines. To lead us in, I reckon we should do the trailer for, let's say, the Jigsaw War. I know that's one of your favourite companion chronicles. Shall we do that? And then we'll lead in with Frazer?
Sounds great.
Very good.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions. Doctor Who, The Companion Chronicles, The Jigsaw War.
They're going to be through that door in a few minutes. Come on, man, think!
Jamie McCrimmon.
Who are you?
My name's Moran. Ords Chief Moran.
Ah, well, nice to meet you.
Where's the doctor? Hurry, they'll be through that door any second. I think we need to talk to the doctor. Perhaps he's misinterpreted what's happening.
Aye. Misinterpreted all that murdering.
What are you waiting for? Do it before they cut through!
But I don't know what it's going to do to them.
I've told you everything I know.
I'm even wearing your uniform.
Please, I don't know.
This is a canny wee trick, but I'm on to you. You're just trying to confuse me, make me
Why
something.
are you doing this? What? Are you trying to make me think the rest was all a dream?
Me?
Well, it can't be worse than what they're going to do to us. I'll do it.
No, you won't.
Jamie is currently experiencing a series of encounters with the stout young officer I'm speaking through now. But Jamie's experiencing them out of chronological sequence. If he puts them in order, he'll have a code. The code will unlock the door.
No, wait. This could be important. This couldn't kill a fuck. Ah! And what if Jamie fails?
Oh, ye of little faith.
What if he fails?
He will join me.
What if he doesn't want to?
What he'll want to do won't come into it.
Subscribers get more at bigfinish.com.
So, for our 200th episode, we wanted someone special. We needed someone who'd lasted the longest in Doctor Who as a companion. And so, who else can we find but Frazer Hines? Frazer, thank you so much for joining us.
No pleasure. No, all the way to Australia. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, we record over here, but most of our audience is actually in the UK and the USA. So, we travel the world.
Yeah, it's funny. We have a TV company over here called Talking Pictures TV, and they show a lot of old movies. And years ago, when I was about 15, I dubbed the voice of an Australian boy in a thing called the Bungala Boys. And I thought I'd never see that again. And lo and behold, the other Saturday, the Bungala Boys. And I'm watching it, and there's this tall, blonde Australian guy comes in, but it's my voice. Because I remember the time, because he didn't sound Australian. So they got me, an English guy, 15-year-old English guy. Sorry, all right, folks, we had to drag ourselves away from a party. Yeah, it's just so funny to hear your voice on this big sort of blonde Adonis.
Well, listen, you talk about being 15. You had an amazing career across so many different genres. How did you first get into acting?
Well, I was a little boy. I used to go to dancing schools in Harrogate, Yorkshire, where I was brought up, and I had to do an impression of Maurice Chevalier. And I can't stand itchy trousers at all. And I had to do this tap dance, and my mother made me this suit out of potato sacks, and they're horrible. And the newspaper said, 7-year-old stop show. He even has the Maurice Chevalier stiff-legged walk. And somebody from Corona School, this acting school in London, saw it. And rang my mother and said, we'd like Frazer to join Corona School. And she said, no, he's too young, wait till he's a bit older. So when I got to 10 years old, my mother and I decamped down to London, and I joined Corona School, and I've been acting. But this is my 60th anniversary of working, yeah. And I'm still acting. I'm still at it.
So your family were very much encouraging you to do this?
Yeah, my mother in particular. My dad was very shy, very quiet, very shy guy. But my mother was because she was in the Operatic Society. My mother was in the local amateur dramatics. So she encouraged me, and that was it. And I started off doing a crowd scene in a film called John and Julie. You're like the 484th citizen, and then suddenly it goes on, and then you get 2 lines in the film, and then you get 4 lines in the film, and then you get the leading role in the TV, and that was it.
So what were you like personality-wise as a child?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how. You don't look into your inner self. In fact, you just learn your lines and, do the part and go to school. We weren't allowed to play football or cricket, though, because in case we broke our legs. I missed out on a lot of sport until later on. And then I played cricket. And in fact, I was a good cricketer. I was a good spin bowler. And I played for the Golden Oldies. And we actually we came over on tour to Australia, and we played at Adelaide Oval, which was great. Imagine me, an actor coming out of the Adelaide Oval, which was marvellous. And I've still got the cap there. I got their skipper out. So he gave me his cap, which was great. I've got it on my trophies upstairs.
And I know horse riding became a passion too. So how old were you when you got into horse riding?
Well, I've always been a rider. When you're a little boy, you have to be able to swim, ride, and act in that order. the directors always thought he can get you to act, but you had to be able to swim. You had to be able to horse ride. And acting well, we can just put a camera on you and tell you your pet hamster's died, cry, So you had to learn to ride I've always been riding. And then when I used to ride out for a trainer in Epsom, a racehorse trainer. Then when I moved to Yorkshire to do Emmerdale Farm, I met a trainer there, and he got me a license, and I started to ride as a jockey. And I rode a couple of winners and quite a few places, and I loved it. And it's great because it's a great thing for keeping your weight off in your formative years, just keeping trim and touch wood. Still, I haven't got a beer belly.
You've done well.
Did you have any actors or that you would consider as potentially a hero or influence at the very least?
John Wayne. I always wanted John Wayne's career. Okay, get off your horse and drink your milk, and fire a couple of guns and jump on a horse, and those sort of great acting, like the director search your inner self and how and Michael Caine. I've always thought, Michael Caine is a chum. He's a pal of mine. I went out with his daughter for 3 years. John Wayne and Michael Caine.
So have you ever had the chance to be in a Western?
No, I nearly did a Western last year, and then year before, and then COVID struck, and then the money disappeared. But I've always wanted to do a cowboy film. I've been to a cowboy ranch in America on holiday, and that's great fun. You just get your jeans and your cowboy boots on, and go off into the hills, and you get your canteen, and you're drinking water and savings water in case of great fun. But there's a Western. I'd love to do a Western.
Yeah. Now, you were a major child actor in appearing in everything, so much stuff. Most child actors aren't able to make the transition into adult acting. How hard or easy was that for you?
I was very fortunate. There was myself, Richard O'Sullivan, and Dennis Waterman. The three of us all went to Corona School, and we all went from school cap screwed on to adult jobs, and we were three very fortunate ones. And I just kept acting. You didn't sort of think, oh gosh, I'm now 18. I guess I'll lose all my parts. You just kept acting and just kept at it. I suppose, and that was it. And one had built up a reputation as an actor that you got on well with everybody. You're a good actor, and you weren't drunk on set, and it just carries on, I suppose.
Did you find lots of the kids that you were acting with though did get burnt out and didn't want to continue?
Oh yeah. A lot burnt out, and a lot. You in my class, you think, they're not going to make it. But some of them became second ADs on TV, and some of them became writers, and some disappeared into the ether. But no, me, Richard, and Dennis, we were quite lucky ones.
Yeah, and all had amazing careers. In terms of acting, in terms of as a child, most of it was for TV and film. Did you do much stage work as well?
No, in fact, my early years, it was all film, because TV was very, very much in its infancy. And you couldn't do a stage play until you were 12 years old. So I didn't do any theatre until I was 12. That was The Good Woman of Setsawan at the Royal Court Theatre. And I liked it. I liked being in the theatre. I liked it on the stage. And I said to the director, can I be in the next play? He said, no, Fraser, because it's a different play. But I enjoyed theatre. I've done a lot of theatre now, pantomime, Agatha Christie. I've been to New Zealand doing Annie, playing Roosevelt in Annie. But film is where the money is. TV's now not as much fun as it was in my day, so to speak, when you went to rehearsals and got to know somebody. Nowadays, you learn your lines, you turn it on the set, and you walk around the set, and then they light it, and then you do a couple of takes, and you go on to the next scene. So, and then theatre, of course, you've got this lovely way of honing it, and what you see in the first week of a play, your performance will probably change by week 3 because you get used to it and get relaxed, and you find little things of the character that, oh, actually, yeah, he could do that. He could bring that in, and yeah. But I say, films is where the money is. But
the hardest to come by. What's your favorite medium? If you had to choose between film, television, audio, or theatre, which would you choose?
Well, I think film, definitely film, because as I say, that's, you can it take 3 months to make a film. You can wait for the sun to come out. It's not go, quick, go, go. You and at the end of the film, you get a nice paycheck,
Which is nice.
hopefully. Yeah.
Well, listen, we're going to talk a lot more when you're out in Australia about the rest of your career and going to Doctor Who, but we're going to skip all that now. People have to come along and hear those stories, and it's going to be fantastic hearing from you. But we wanted to turn to your audio work. When did you start doing voice work?
The first one I did was Helican Prime. I used to say to Gary Russell, who ran Big Finish to begin with, I said, I've never done Big Finish. He said, well, your doctor's not alive anymore. And I said, well, yeah, I've worked with Colin Baker, though, in the 2 Doctors, so can't I? No. He said, I don't like mixing companions with doctors. So, all right. And then when Gary left, David Richardson rang up and said, would you like to do a Big Finish? I went, yeah, I've never done one. And the first one, as I say, Helican Prime, I did Jamie's voice as Jamie, but the Doctor's voice, I just said, yes, come along, Jamie, we're going to do this, that, and the other. And I did the first 3 pages. And then Nigel Fairs, the director, said, Fraser, I'm just going to hear those first 3 pages back to make sure there's no clicks or bumps on the microphone. So while he was listening, I started to go, hello, Jamie, what are you going to do? And I started to do impression of Patrick, which I had to do using my hand. And he went, oh, Fraser, you sound like Patrick Troughton. I said, yes, I do Patrick's voice when I do a gag about, look at the size of that thing, Doctor. Yes, Jamie, it is a big one, isn't it? And we do a little private gag. And, just do the first 3 pages again as Patrick. I said, no, I can't sustain it. I can't keep it. Just try it. So I did it. He went, that's it, keep it. So it was Nigel Fairs that not made me, but sort of suggested I do Patrick. And then forevermore, I was doing Patrick's voice, which was, as I said, great fun to do, but very hard work. Very hard, because you're doing, Wendy will always say, it's amazing, because Fraser's script goes red, blue, red, blue. Blue for Patrick speaking, red, Jamie Kilt, blue, red. Then the storyteller. It's amazing to watch him in the little booth going from voice to voice to voice, And I never knew I could do voice acting until I did the first one, Helican Prime.
So had you done any audio voice work before that?
No, none.
Oh,
no
okay.
Radio. No, haven't done any radio plays or anything.
Okay, because you sound like a natural because of you sound so professional. And so in terms of when you're doing narration,
I am,
James.
How dare you? Of course I put that.
So trained, you sound fully trained in audio. But when you go from narration to Jamie to Doctor, are you actually recording that live, line by line, or are you actually stopping and doing one role?
No, do it all in one page or the whole scene. Because people said, "Oh, do you do old Jamie, then old Patrick?" No, I go. In fact, one reviewer said, "I suddenly realised that Fraser was actually arguing with himself." Now look here, Jamie. Now, Doctor, you're the one that said, "No, Jamie, what I'm trying to do." Listen, I'm leaving you. No, Jamie, listen to it. And you just do it, the whole scene, as a scene, not sort of line by line.
Was there any ever times that you did record them separately, or you've always done it all together?
Always done it like that, and then the storyteller in between, and maybe a guard or a professor on the planet. So you got about four characters on one page. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess getting 4 paychecks would be fantastic.
No. Yeah. Would be.
So after House in Prime, you've done lots of companion chronicles, and you've really brought Patrick to life. I think everyone who listens to your Patrick Troughton loves it because there's just this affection that you put in him.
Yeah.
How much are you bringing Patrick back in terms of the relationship you had with him?
It just became so natural to do. I don't. In some scenes, I used to, because obviously Michael Troughton does it now. I'd cough and then do another take, and I'd cough in a different place. And some writers would say, da da da, cough. I go, no, it's the wrong place for a cough. You know, it sounds silly. Oh, come on, Fraser. No. You come, no. No, what are you going to do, Jamie? Yeah. There's little sort of coughs, and you cough in different places.
Did you ever have to go back and look at what he'd done in the past? Or was it just the fact that you'd worked so closely with him for 3 years, you just knew him backwards?
What I do is, or what I did, if I hadn't done a big finish, say, for 6 or 7 months, and then they'd say, what do you do with it? And they'd tell me a script. I'd get the DVD out, and I'd watch the DVD just to remind myself, so I wasn't getting too complacent, like, I can do Patrick, except in my head, I can do Patrick Michael. No, I just remind yourself, just watch it and go, oh, yeah. But it's funny, though, if I put my hands in my pockets, Lisa Bauman, one of the directors, Fraser, I can hear your hands moving. I said, I can't do Patrick if it was my hands in my pocket. I have to keep, and I look at that, you go here, and I'll go, yeah. I have to, hands got to keep moving.
So you got to be reunited and working with some of your old castmates. What was it like being reunited with Deborah Watling?
Poor little Debs. We do miss her. It was good. It was sad when she passed away. 69 years old. But it was great because it's amazing with Debbie and with Wendy. They get in that little box, and Wendy's voice goes up 4 octaves, and Deb's did, And I always make Wendy laugh. I said, Wendy stood there with Fag going, I've got to do a take now. All right. Hey, doctor, why don't we go home? And the voice goes straight up.
So I'm assuming with Deborah and Wendy, you hadn't worked with them since the 60s. So how difficult is it actually?
No, I'd worked with them both. I'd done a stage play with Wendy, with Deborah, Doctor in the House, where she was playing a very snooty little nurse. And Wendy, I was doing this soap called Emmerdale Farm, and she came in for a couple of episodes. So, okay. And we'd also done a thing called Seasons of the Year, which was set in Georgian times, where she was the daughter, the wealthy daughter, and I was the stable lad. So, I'd actually worked with them, which is quite rare, because sometimes you can work with somebody for 3 years and then never see them again.
So, how do you find the whole recording with Big Finish in terms of the setup and going in? I mean, if you've never done any voice work before, were you nervous at all, or you just threw yourself into it?
No, not nervous. No, just go straight into it.
Does anything ever throw you? Are you ever nervous? You just seem so confident all the time.
No, well, I think it's that strange thing. We all were brought up in a thing called Children's Film Foundation, which was a film company that used to make films for Saturday morning pictures, and it'd get you used to filming with big cameras and actors. And that's when I worked with Charlie Chaplin, I just Charlie Chaplin, Mr. Chaplin, and I went up to him one day and said, "I've got an idea for some comedy." One was just so confident. It wasn't precocious. It was just, you're an actor and I'm an actor, and we're doing a scene together. Wouldn't it be good if this happened? You weren't thinking, and as I say, it wasn't precocious. It was just sort of 2 actors working together. Elizabeth Scott, she was gorgeous American actress with this lovely sort of husky voice. There was a film called The Weapon. Oh God, I'll tell you all about that. When I do my after dinner speech or whatever.
For the VIPs. I think you're starting to tell us a bit what you were like as a child, though. Obviously very confident, self-assured, extrovert. So you started by doing some companion chronicles with Big Finish, and then you got to work with Colin. So what was it like when they decided to age Jamie up and you got to work with Colin Baker?
In the 2 Doctors?
No, in the Big Finish. So you did 4 stories with Colin Baker. That's good. Oh yeah, because we'd done, as I say, we'd done the 2 Doctors together, and Colin and I, we'd known each other again from way back, and again it was just like working with another chum. It was good. Big Finish has done a lot of different ranges. They've gone back. Sadly, you've not actually done much other stuff inside of Big Finish except for Jamie, except for the Vienna series. Do you remember doing the Vienna box set?
Yeah, the thing is, I suggested to Big Finish that I was on a riding holiday in Colorado Springs with Chase Masterson, And she said, "What are you doing next, Fraser?" I said, "I'm doing this thing for Big." "Oh, what is Big Finish?" And I told her what it was like. And when I got back home, I said to David Richardson, "You want to get Chase?" I call it Chase Manhattan. "You want to get Chase Manhattan into a series?" And then they wrote Vienna for it. And I said, "I've got to be in it, though." I said, "I'm sick of just not being in any other Big Finish. I've got to be in." Right. And he rang me, he said, "Oh, why don't you play Max, this kind of Billy Graham, creepy Billy Graham sort of character?" I said, "Well, don't tell Chase. Don't tell Chase. Just say." So she kept saying, "Who's playing Max?" "Oh, there's an actor. You won't know him." And I got to the studio early and I hid in the broom cupboard. And she came in all fussed. "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a bit late." "Right. Now, who is this actor? Who's playing Max?" I went, "Ta-da!" She went, "Ah!" And that was good. Yeah, oh, she's good lass, Chase.
Yeah,
Chase Manhattan.
and you got Chase to come work for Big Finish. That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
All those
And
connections.
she enjoyed it. She had great fun. She loved it. A good series as well.
Now, a couple of years ago, you did a story with Peter Purvis as playing the first Doctor. You were playing Patrick.
Yeah, that was
so-
good fun. Yeah, he was good actually. Peter was a very good, and Tim Treloar does a very good John Pertwee.
Yeah.
I think Big Finish missed a trick there. They could have had all three of us doing a show, because Tim does sound like Pertwee, and it's good. But now they've got somebody else doing the first Doctor. Who's doing it? Is it David Bradley?
Stephen Noonan.
Oh, I was saying yes, Stephen. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So was it weird in the studio where Peter Purvis is doing Stephen and the first Doctor, you're doing Jamie the second Doctor,
Yeah.
or being underpaid?
Yeah, we kept saying we're doing this for the same money. We did. Actors always moan about money.
Well, good reason
So
for that.
did you and Peter have the same style? Like you go on the same page, switching voices between lines, and was Peter doing the same thing? Do you recall?
Yes, we just did the set. Yeah, I don't recall him doing his lines separate. No, we did it as a scene. All in one page, 2 pages, whatever. However long the scene is, it's 3 pages. Yeah. I tell you what is very lonely life is when I did the audio for Evil of the Daleks, and all you got is the lectern and the producer, nobody else, and that is lonely. And you're just on your own, and you just start from page 1 and you read it until you make a mistake, and then they said, "No, Fraser, you go back to the theatre." And with the Evil of the Daleks, I was doing all the voices: Max Tibbles, Waterfield, Jamie, the Doctor, Joe Robot. And, "Hello, sir, can I do you now?" I said, "Nice cup of tea." I was doing all the voices. Oh dear. And
That's interesting. I was going to ask you about that. How did that come about with you writing that novelization?
Penguin, I think Sophie did one, and then Penguin got in touch with me. Would I like to do it? And I said, "Yeah, I'd like to do it from Jamie's point of view, rather than they ran down the corridor. We ran down the corridor." I turned, I said to the Doctor, da, da, da. And I got about quarter way through, and I realized, oh, shavings, I get knocked out. And I can't, so I don't know what's happening. I can't say. Meanwhile, whilst I was knocked out, Maxtable and Waterfield were having an argument. There'd be too many times, too many meanwhile. So I had to go back, and it wasn't as I planned it. I'd like to have done it. So that's why we inserted the talking to Zoe, as the first person.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that because I've been listening to that over the last couple of days, and I noticed that the voices you did in the prologue had me a little concerned, because when you were reading a line of the Doctor, you weren't doing his voice in that prologue section. But then when the main story started, you were doing his voice. So what was the reasoning behind that?
That was trying to get a vision of or a sense of somebody reading a story, or reading at home. So, which if you read it at home, you wouldn't be reading in. You might read in the Doctor's voice, if I don't know. But I was trying to just get like an ordinary book. You're reading the book, and that's it. That's it. And then, of course, going into the storytelling proper, yeah. But I always think we all made a mistake that the Emperor Dalek, it should have been the Empress Dalek because it had a brassiere. And when you think about it, two gold things there, and all the other sphericals were black, and now these baby Daleks coming off it. So I don't know why we never suggested it's the Empress Dalek.
Would make people think the wrong thing. Definitely.
Yeah.
So what was your process for writing that book? Did you enjoy that process, and have you done much other writing?
No, I mean, I was quite lucky to crib a lot of the script. You know, it wasn't sort of coming straight out of here. But it's a lonely life writing a book, and I had a couple of writers, Merv and Steve, you know, who just kept me on the straight and narrow and made sure I didn't add any new characters or monsters. But when I was doing the audio, they said, we can do it in one day. I said, I can't do it in one day. They said, you can read a book. Yeah, I can read a book in one day because you read it yourself. And you kind of proofread it. I said, out loud, no, it could be 2 days. And halfway through the second day, I'm reading and reading. And he said, oh, Fraser, you changed the word there. I went, I wrote the thing. It's not, I wrote it. He said, yeah, but somebody could. I said, you're trying to tell me that somebody actually would be listening to the audio and reading the book at the same time. Go, oh, that's a different word. He said, yes. Oh, never again. And it's not terribly paid either, you know. But at the end of the second day, your voice is really like that. It's really like that.
Did you do your color coding with your text as well in terms of voices? How did you?
Oh yeah, you had to, because
you had to.
Yeah, there was, you know, obviously red, blue, yellow for Maxtable and something for Waterfield, and Nick Briggs did the Dalek voices. So that's saved me doing those. So he did the Dalek voices, but Joe Robot, let's say, and Ruth. What's her lovely name? Bridget Forsyth, who played the daughter. She's no longer with us. She said on a panel once, I heard her doing a panel in America, and she said, I was very nervous, because they said, were you nervous on the first day filming in Doctor Who, the big TV show? And she said, I was very nervous. And then Frazer Hines poked his head round the set where it was about to come on, and he had some candle grease down his nose. And he said, have you got a handkerchief? Huh? My nose. And she said, I burst out laughing. And I then knew it was going to be a happy shoot. Why be worried? And she said, that really relaxed me. It made me feel, oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's the old, candlestick, candle wax up your nose. Yeah, I like people to be happy on the set, yeah.
And my understanding is one of the things that you and Patrick and Wendy and Deborah always did was make sure people felt very welcome when they arrived.
Yes, oh yeah. You had to. If it was a new guy, oh, good. Did you play poker? Did you play cards, right, Laurie? Or a woman, actress. Oh, good. Bit of crumpet, something nice to look at. You know, it's all great fun. You could say that in those days. Oh, a bit of crumpet, right, terrific. And everybody would laugh and not take umbrage.
Now I've got to put a trigger warning on the podcast, Fraser.
Yeah. Oh, what? Yes. That's right, yeah.
More recently, with Big Finish, they brought decided to retire your doctor and bring Michael Troughton in to do his dad's role. What's it been like playing that new older Fraser, and do you know where that's going in the future?
No. I just say to them, when's this set? Is this an older Jamie or a younger Jamie? If they say he's an older Jamie, the voice is down a bit. If it's a young Jamie, then his voice comes up like that, and it's a high-end doctor. What are you going to do? You know, just tell me he's an old or young Jamie. You know, that's it, and get on with it.
So, and then there's 2 more releases about to be released this year, because there's Lost Stories coming out, Operation Werewolf in July, and then there's the Doctor Who Death World, which is the 3 Doctors, what could have been, which is what you do with Stephen Noonan, Michael Troughton, and Tim Treloar, plus you and Katie, I think John Coleshaw. Were you aware of that story much? I assume was the reason why you didn't come back for the 3 Doctors because you were working in Emmerdale?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Emmerdale wouldn't release me, and the 5 Doctors, they wouldn't release me, and I was supposed to be with Patrick all the way through the 5 Doctors, but Emmerdale wouldn't release me. So JNT said, "I want you in it. Just tell me." So I rang him. I said, "I've got next Wednesday, Thursday off." He said, "Right, good." That night, a fax came through. And then it was, hey, the Brigadier's right. No, I thought, is that it? Oh, well, I want to see Patrick again. I want to see Wendy again. So I went down and did those 3 lines. And luckily I did, because John Nathan Turner said it was amazing when I was de-rigging to go back to Yorkshire. He said, it looked like you and Patrick had been in a prop cupboard for about 16 years and I just dusted you off. Would you like to do some more? I said, well, not all. And that's why I came back and did the 2 Doctors. And I'm kicking myself because my mother had died and I got divorced. And Sheila Mercier, who played my mother in Emmerdale, said, oh, darling, we're not having a lot of luck with your women. Why don't you come back to your other family? So I rang the producer of Emmerdale, said, any chance of coming back? He said, yeah, when? I said, well, I'm doing the 2 Doctors, then I'm doing a pantomime. I'm free in February. I went, great, it gives me time to write you in. And I'm kicking myself because I was having such a good time with Colin and Nicola. If I had said to JNT, listen, you haven't got a male companion, why doesn't Patrick, make her balls up and I get trapped in the other TARDIS and I'll go off with those 2. And I could have stayed with them for, a couple of seasons.
That would have been fantastic, actually.
Yeah, that'd have been great fun. Because I was getting on well with them. They never felt, who's it? Why is he here? We don't need another companion. So that's a pity. That was a pity.
I mean, Emmerdale's just hit 10,000 episodes.
Yeah.
How many of those episodes did you do? Because you were in it for years, weren't you?
Probably did about 2,000. Probably did 2,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but they seem to forget those episodes before the 10,000. They seem to forget that those other actors started the show off and got it up and running. But they tend to do that.
There wasn't any big celebration with all the previous cast come through? No.
And there's only 2 of us left alive, the originals, me and Freddie Pine. So, I mean, they could have at least invited us down to a TV station and put us up for the night in a hotel, and we could have said what it was like in the old days. But no, it wasn't to be.
Just out of curiosity, when you were filming Emmerdale then, because I know now they've actually built a whole Emmerdale village. It's not real.
Yeah.
What was it when you were filming it originally? Was that also a set, or was it all
real farm, real working farm? And we would turn up on the day to film, and whatever the farmer was doing, we had to do. It didn't say Matt and Joe were milking. If he wasn't milking, we couldn't milk. If he was sheep dipping, we'd have to sheep dip. If he was sheep shearing, we'd have to sheep shear. So he never got stopped working. It was in his contract that the filming never interfered with proper farming. So we had to do all his work for him, and then go back and onto the next scene.
Right. I was reading your autobiography recently in preparation for coming out, and you talk about the plane crash scene. So I actually went and found all the episodes around the plane crash in Emmerdale in Yorkshire, and just think, boy, that was so amazingly filmed that there must have been very dramatic moments for British television with all these characters in danger.
In those days, nowadays, the guys would get a BAFTA award, for special effects, because the special effects really were good. But in those days, they didn't have soap awards and stuff like that. But no, they should have got special awards. Really should. Excellent. Great lads.
Yep. I mean, when you think you've been in some of the longest running, biggest TV programs on British television, it's pretty astounding.
Yeah, I've been, and when I say starred, not just appeared, Emergency Ward 10, Emmerdale Farm, Coronation Street, and Doctor Who. For all the biggest TV shows in British. And I fell asleep watching on live television in Emergency Ward 10. I fell asleep during the tape. It was live, and I'll tell you that at my talk.
Okay, fantastic.
Watch this space. Watch this.
Can I just raise a show? I think you may have been in one episode, maybe 2, and it's a show that my wife got me into a few years ago called Outlander. And the writer, I believe the writer, Diana Gabaldon, I think her name is.
Diana Gabaldon.
Gabaldon. She was a fan of Jamie, and that's how she came up with the name of the lead character. Is that correct, or is that just an urban
Yes,
myth?
no, because I met Diana at a book signing in Edinburgh, and she said she was watching, I think it was the War Games, and she loved the kilt and Jamie's tough little stoic manner. And she said the next day in church, Fraser, all I could think about was your legs and the kilt. And she said I had to write something. And I liked the time travel thing, but obviously I couldn't use a TARDIS. So there's this stepping stone thing. And she called him Jamie Fraser. She didn't realize my name was Fraser either, because at the end, so the captions went to who played. But she called him, and I was a bit disappointed. I was only in one story, one episode, because
Was that the Culloden scenes that you were in?
No, it went with prison. I was a prison governor, and in fact, in the first series, episode 15, mine was the most watched episode of the first series, because I think all the Emmerdale Farm and the Doctor Who fans all watched to see Fraser
naturally.
Again. Yeah, I put like 1 million viewers on, which is great. And I said to Diana, why doesn't Sir Fletcher Gordon, my character, now you're filming in America and places, why doesn't he get sent to the swamps of Everglades to run a prison in swamp-ridden Florida, and I could do another couple of episodes. But she didn't take up the bait, unfortunately. And
at least you tried. At least you tried.
I did try, yes. And I also want to appear in Home and Away, because I watch Home and Away. I like that. I want to go to Summer Bay. In fact, when I'm over in Australia, I think you can get seaplane trips to land at Summer Bay, or wherever they call Summer Bay, where they film there.
Yeah.
Where is it? Was that Avalon or Palm Beach?
It's Palm Beach, just past Avalon. It's beautiful place to go to. Mm. My son's trying to do an internship there at the moment on the script writing staff.
All right, yeah. Well, I did a panto years ago with Lynn Granger. She played the good fairy. She plays Eileen, yeah. And when I'm in Sydney, I've got to go to, which I always hightail it on the ferry to Doyle's at Watson Bay. Oh yeah, I love my fish.
Well, you can't do better than Doyle's in Sydney, that's for sure.
Oh God, yes, yeah.
we might go to Doyle's together, Fraser.
Oh, good, yeah.
Well, listen, in 3 months' time, you'll be out in Australia doing the East Coast. We're looking forward to hearing your stories and getting a chance to take photos and meet you. And I know how funny and charming you are, so it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, I just, people say, don't you get bored or, I said, no, it's nice to stand up and, and tell people happy memories, Three of the happiest years of my TV or my showbiz career are talking about Patrick, Wendy, and Debbie, and so I just love talking about them because it brings me then back happy memories to tell you guys.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing those stories. So thank you for joining us for our 200th episode.
Right, pleasure. Thank you.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions.
The doctor's been gone for over an hour now. What's keeping him?
All I know is he told us to stay in the TARDIS whatever happened.
Zoe Harriet! Jamie McCrimmon as I live and breathe.
Eh? Who are you?
The eternal question.
The doctor wasn't running from him. He was running from that.
Cyberman.
But it seems to me that your average civilians are a bit eager to presume that these Cybermen are a thing of the past. Something that belongs in museums and shows and gung-ho hollow movies.
Aye.
I wonder, is that why I came here?
A signal from Talos. Cyberfleet will mobilize in 1.90 cycles.
Confirm. Please! I don't want to be a Cyberman! Jamie, what's in there? Show me.
Oh, it's crawling out to my hand.
A Cybermat!
Destroy! Destroy! Destroy!
Big Finish. We love stories.
Well, there you go. We're almost at the end of episode 200. Philip, how was that?
I can't believe how fast time has gone, but fantastic. It was great. Thank you.
It's been good. Before we finish up, we'll just tell our audience, you guys, what we've been listening to recently and what I've been listening to. Actually, no, I can't. My list is still saying it's your turn, Philip.
200 episodes and still my turn. Really quick, just Echoes. I'm going to recommend. So the 8th Doctor box set with Liv Chenka and Helen Sinclair, 8th Doctor. It is just 3 marvelous stories. Birdsong in particular, I think I talked about this recently with Tim Foley. But the 3 stories are all brilliant. Listen to them. Just get it. It's just get it. What about you? What are you going to recommend?
Well, I mentioned it during the interview, but I've been listening to the Evil of the Daleks audio play. And yeah, it was interesting the way it started because Frazer wasn't doing the voice for the 2nd Doctor in the prologue. And I thought, what's going on here? And then he went on to do the voice when the story started proper. But the way it starts is that scene at the end of the Wheel in Space. So Zoe's in there and they're talking to Zoe and talking about showing her what her life's going to be like. That's how the book starts. So I thought that was a very interesting way to start it. Just doesn't go straight into the story from the faceless ones. And yeah, Frazer does a great job as you'd expect. And it's a different way to experience the story. You know, if we don't have the original, got the animation now, got the soundtrack, but this is just one of those different ways. And I always find the novelizations add something a little bit different, a little bit unique. And with Frazer having written this one, I thought it was an interesting one to listen to. So I recommend that.
I'm looking forward to getting my copy signed in 3 months' time.
Absolutely. And you can check out all the details for our live events at sirensofaudio.com. So, Philip, we made it to 200. We've got to start again next week. Next week, we're going to start off our next lot of 200 with an amazing guest that I was absolutely thrilled, as I'm sure you were too, Philip, to speak to, and that is the unearthly child herself, Carol Ann Ford, will be joining us to talk about her time on Doctor Who and with Big Finish.
Yep, so we've managed to get back to episode 1 of Doctor Who with Carol Ann Ford. So we've managed to stretch all the way back. And I think, actually, we almost have everything covered now. Like every episode of Doctor Who, I think we've managed with Carol Ann Ford, Maureen O'Brien, Peter Purvis.
Haven't got Anna. Yeah.
And then Fraser. We've got a bit of a gap there. We've got to get Annika somehow. So we're going to fill in that gap with Annika. But then with Fraser, with Wendy, with Katie, we've got a gap there too. Yeah, we've got a couple of gaps still. But anyhow, we can work on those gaps.
I'm sure we will. All right. It's been a pleasure to be in your company for all of these almost 200 episodes for you, Philip.
Yeah, thanks for being with us, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Catch you next time.
Bye.
This has been the Sirens of Audio episode 200 with our guest Frazer Hines and your hosts Philip Edney and Dwayne Bunny. Theme music by Joe Kramer. More about us and info on how to join us for our live events with Frazer Hines and Katy Manning in September 2024 at sirensofaudio.com. Comment below to give us your feedback or contact us via email sirensofaudio@gmail.com or any one of our socials using the handle @AudioSirens. Thanks for listening, audiophiles. We'll hear you next time.